All right, I am here with Salvation, a band from Chicago. Thanks for joining us here today and giving us some time to chat. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us what you do in the band?
My name's Jason. I play guitar and I sing for Salvation.
I'm Victor and I play bass guitar. I'm Santiago and I play drums.
All right, thanks, guys. So, you guys are from Chicago. How long have you guys been together and playing as a band? And why don't you give us a little bit of your backstory?
I think it's been about 6 years now. And Victor and I had been friends since we were probably in our like early 20s. And we were just kind of playing like this local punk rock circuit and played a few shows together and would hang out at shows. And then quite a few years had gone by, and I had been through a series of bands, but started up a project after moving back from California, making my way back to Chicago, and I came up with this concept for kind of like a power trio, noisy rock and roll band, tagged at Salvation. Played a few shows there, and then moved back here and decided that I wanted to like kind of make it a permanent project with permanent members and not just kind of throw things together. I was just throwing shows together in St. Louis with random players, and I ran into Victor in front of a library. We were out looking for work and just like happened to walk past each other. So we like, you know, hugged and said hello, talked about our lives, and then decided that we should be playing music together. And we started demoing, and then I had come down to the city and randomly found Santiago playing a show that was like a benefit for women in rock and roll. And he was in a band called the Baby Magic that was fronted by this really powerful, charismatic woman, Mary Beth. And I just thought he was like a very unique drummer. He kind of had a personality and style on the drums that wasn't something I was used to in a good way, and thought he hit really hard. So we started talking with him, and that was that.
Okay, very cool. That's that's great. So, so you were Jason. You were writing all the music and kind of coming into this. How did you change? Did bringing on Victor and Santiago kind of change it up? You mentioned that Santiago was kind of a different style of drummer, or more dynamic drummer than you're used to working from. Does that influence how you kind of approach songwriting?
Yeah, definitely. So Victor, whenever I was like forming different bands in the past, and people would say like, hey, do you want to start a band with another guitar player? I just didn't have a desire for a second guitar, but I would always point at Victor and say like, if I ever did, I would want Victor to play, just because I thought he had really unique style as a person, like his personality and as a musician, and his live performance. And I think Santiago kind of struck me in that same way, as like a very unique individual, personality wise and musically. And I remember I did a demo of like 3 songs where I played bass and like hired a drummer, and I liked it, but it just, you know, I feel that music is at its best when there's multiple minds coming into the creation, and you really get like a band feel. And so I think that Victor and Santiago's writing abilities and personality has added like an invaluable, priceless effect to this project.
Okay. Yeah, and so your latest album, this is actually your third album as a trio. This is the trio we're talking to here today with you and Victor and Santiago. Is Year of the Fly. It came out last year, and it's your second album on Forge Again Records.
Yeah, so the first album came out on
Santiago, could you move closer to the mic?
Yeah, no problem.
the first album came out on Cold Slither, but that was just the tape label of Forge Again.
Mhm.
So honestly, like, you know, Justin Wexler is the main reason that we have any kind of physical format of our music. Like as soon as we just put it up online, like on Bandcamp, and he was like, "Oh, like take it down because like I want to put it out for Royal Blank." I'm not gonna say it. It's a bad word. I can't say it.
So
I'm not. Yeah.
it was
Our first album is called Royal.
it was like a joke. There was a band called Royal Trucks,
Right, yeah.
and their band name was like a kind of a spoof off of the old skate gear, which were like trucks for skateboards.
Yep.
So I was just kind of making like a mockery of, or not a mockery, but like a kind of a gag on it, you know.
And yeah, Justin Wexler did Cold Slither tapes, which is what put out our first album. And actually, he just put out our first album on vinyl for the first time. And there's only 100 copies, and from what we know, I think there's like probably like 20 left. So
Okay.
always wanted to see that on vinyl. Like we always thought that'd be cool, and it finally happened.
Yeah. Honestly, Forge Again
Oh, Victor, could you speak into the mic a little bit more? Thanks.
Forge Again has been great to us.
I still don't have you.
Forge Again has been great. We really owe that to Justin. So
Like literally and figuratively.
Okay.
Yeah, actual that too, but also, you know, good.
Yeah, like he's been extremely supportive as the head of this label, and he's put out a series of like really amazing bands. Call Me Lightning was a band that he had released. I think he's done what are some of those other bands that you were into?
I really like it. Even out of We Are Hex. It's a really cool band. I believe they're out of
Okay. Yeah, we just got to get you in front of the camera there to get your.
Yeah, I think I have to do that. I was saying, yeah, he put out this record by this band called We Are Hex, and I believe they're in Indianapolis. They're a really cool band. The singer of that band went on to form this band called Servants with Russell Simmons, drummer from Chicago, like metal. Heck
All right.
yeah!
Okay. All right. Let's
Thank
go.
you so much for your patience.
No problem.
Yeah. So yeah, as we were saying, Forge Again is amazing to us, and you know, they're the only reason we have these vinyl records, and Justin Wexler's enthusiasm for just, you know, really cool, weird music, like bands like We Are Hex and He Who Corrupts, Call Me Lightning, like Jason was saying. I think a lot of, he clearly just gets off on like really like, you know, underground bands having vinyl. I just think that's super cool, and luckily he dug what we put out. So we would always post it online, and he'd always be like, "What are you doing? Take it down! Like I'm gonna put it out." And then we'd be like, "Oh, we didn't know anybody wanted to put it out."
And then actually, one of our label mates on Forge Again is Mike Lust, and he's in he was in a band called Luster King back in the day, but he actually plays with Tight Phantoms, which is like a pretty popular Chicago band. He's kind of like a Chicago darling. He's really respected as a music engineer and sound guy at clubs around the city. He's worked with a few different programs where they would, I forget the name escapes me, but they would have larger bands come in, and he would do like these live recordings and then release them. I think he's worked with like the Melvins and John Spencer and different bands.
Russian Circles.
Yeah, Russian Circles. But Mike Lust was also just like a really huge player as far as this record coming out. And we recorded it at Electrical Audio, which is Steve Albini's studio here in Chicago. And that was also kind of just you know, everything kind of fell together with Forge Again being very supportive, working with Mike Lust, and him kind of being like somewhat of a peer and a friend made us really comfortable. And I think we wouldn't have felt as comfortable in the studio if it was anybody else. So that was really great to work with him.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, one of the things I noticed listening to your guys' music, and like especially on You're the Fly, is you're, as far as heavy music, you're pretty dynamic. Like you have definitely that, you know, what I guess I would call kind of that AMREP sound to a power trio. But at the same time, you also like extend some of those songs out to, you know, 4 or 5 minutes long, you know, and then on You're the Fly, like the song Failure, you really pull it back and change the dynamic of the album.
Yeah, I think that like even as like a teenager, I was always really attracted to like albums that didn't just stick to one kind of thing, you know. It's like I've always thought about music kind of like food. You don't want to eat the same thing
Right.
every minute of the day. So I wanted the album to kind of have like a flow. I was always attracted to like Dark Side of the Moon or Loveless by My Bloody Valentine, that just kind of like had these like little segue in between songs, or you could go from something where you're getting your teeth kicked into something like really gentle. So that's something I think all of us have been really attracted to, as far as not like falling into one category.
Yeah, and even coming out of that too, it works because, you know, you come out of that out of Failure into Dark and Stormy, which is kind of this slow burn into, you know, kind of back into that heavy sound. So you're not necessarily just jarred right back into that, you know, that
Totally.
4 on the floor, you know.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, personally, one of my favorite records is always going to be Masters of Reality. And I feel like that record goes from just like straight up sludge metal to like, you know, violent mandolin and, you know, just like
Right.
these more acoustic, but it all flows and it all, like Jason's saying, it all works together. So the track listing and everything of that album was really intentional. I would say the
Okay.
first 2 albums were definitely had a theme, but were more of a collection of songs, whereas this one, there's like a pretty clear narrative to it. And you know, we've been thinking about recording at Electrical since day one, so all the things for Year of the Fly were just a lot more thought out than anything we had done before. And I think it was cool also, we did every single part of it was in Chicago, including the mastering, even the pressing of the vinyl itself, and the jackets. They were all, everything was done right here. So it was a really thought out thing, and I'm just really glad that, I mean, we basically started touring on it last year this time.
Although there was a couple things that were totally like spur of the moment, which were so random, but we kept trying to come up with artwork for the album, and we had talked to some various artists, and for whatever reason it fell through, and we were coming up to kind of like the deadline to have art, and this girl walked into a pizza shop that Vic and I work at, and she had set her phone down, and I glanced at the front of her phone, and I thought it was a painting by Egon Schiele, or Schiele, and it was like some wire sculpture she had done and took a photograph of. And so we all just like thought it was cool looking. And then she allowed us to use that art, and Justin from Forge Again sent it off to Sean, who sings for Child Bite, and
Okay.
then he handled the art layout. But that was super random. And then there's a track on the album that was actually like my phone was recording in my pocket, and I didn't know it while I was delivering a pizza at a restaurant. So just like people talking and like a cook yelling at me to be patient for whatever food I was picking up. So there's some like really spontaneous, weird things that were kind of fun to throw on the album, or helped it come together.
So kind of getting into that intentional songwriter, the intentional like track listing of the album, like did you write were the songs written with some of that intention, like kind of flowing from one another, or did you put that together kind of after you had the songs and kind of figure out how, like a puzzle, how to put them, how they worked on an album?
I think that it was kind of like a puzzle. Like we just like like Vic and I would get together and work on songs. And then like we would all get like sometimes I would work on song ideas alone, or Vic and I would get together. Santiago and I got together a couple times and worked on songs alone. And of course we would all work together, but I feel like it's just always like somewhat of like a puzzle piece. More so the second and this third record than the first one. But yeah, it was very much a collaborative puzzle that just kind of unfolded, I think.
Okay. So you mentioned you had started touring on this album about this time this year, and I imagine that the pandemic kind of threw a wrench into, you know, your plans to really promote Year of the Fly. Obviously, you guys looks like you're still getting together to, you know, to practice. What have you guys been able to do? Victor, can you get closer to the microphone, please?
Yes.
Oh.
I would say that the touring kind of actually I kind of ended up being.
Oh, could you turn a little bit towards you, please?
Yeah.
Thanks.
It actually, we got really, really lucky, and I would say our last tour, which was only 3 days, the last day was March 14th, and then I came back to Chicago, worked a double, and was told I didn't have a job anymore after that day. So like, even those last 3 days, we were like, should we even play this? But like, I don't know, it went really well. I don't know. Everybody I do remember was like being really careful about like not grabbing each other, or like, you know, we were elbow bumping already at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Not sharing any kind of drinks or anything, and trying to keep a distance. So we got lucky because we basically did like 3 weeks of touring at that point. But I would say as far as the stuff that's kind of thrown in a wrench, like, yeah, we canceled probably like 6 shows due to COVID. But we actually came out with 2 releases. One of them is Jason. He did like a solo sort of thing. 2 songs, one of which is like a cover from the David Lynch movie Eraserhead.
Okay.
And then we also did one where I thought it would maybe be cool to have our songs get remixed just to give a different perspective. So we had our friend Russell, who does Bell and Circuit from Madison. He played with us in the band Daughters of St. Crispin.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Donnie and Asher from this band called None of Your Concern, like really cool, like dark wave electronic type band. And then our friend Super Thief from Austin, who are also like very much like a kind of like AmRep-y kind of noisy band. So they just kind of made them like weird and electronic, and they're all totally different. And then the proceeds from that went to Black Lives Matter, or My Hood, My Block, My City. So that was just like a thing I thought maybe could, I don't know, like, it's, you know, obviously things are kind of terrible, and maybe even alleviate some kind of something. We just thought that would be a cool way to kind of express ourselves creatively in a different way, and you know,
Right.
model it after operating during COVID.
Right. Exactly. And yeah, yeah, like you said, it keeps you being creative and kind of keeps the ball rolling a little bit. So have you you obviously have been getting together to practice. Have you been working on new music?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, the first time we practiced, we kind of just jammed out, and yeah, had a new idea
Kinda,
come about. But
right. I would imagine kind of getting your feet back underneath you after taking a significant amount of time.
right. Yeah, I don't know. Like Santiago said, it's just trying to find ways to stay relevant and to keep creating content. And you know, I think between Jason and Santiago, and even you allowing us to chat with you right now, those are all ways for us to, you know, to stay relevant and to keep at the forefront of people's minds, and
Right.
you know, while we all try and figure out the next move here, you know.
Add real quick that it's super important to us. You know, obviously, people can donate to causes regardless of coming through us. But if anyone is interested in supporting us or just being interested in checking us out, and they want to pick up those 2 new releases, that we're really trying to push that so we can give back in a way, or people can get involved in giving back. So I definitely wanted to try to give a shout out to the idea of checking out the remix record. It's like, is it 4 songs? 3 songs that are remixed with those artists that we're friends with, which is a good way to get kind of exposed to those people as artists, and then find out about their bands other than them just remixing us. And then, which is actually another band Santiago plays in, called Absolutely Not. The singer of that band has this other project, which is one of the ones that remixed us. And what's Russell's with what's his rock band called again? Daughters of St. Crispin. It's really cool rock band. And then the other one was a Texas band. What were they called again? Super Thief. Yeah, really great rock band from Austin. I think they're from Austin.
Yeah, and and those are the songs that were released as part of as a flexi disc?
No, those are the did it come out? That one's a digital. The flexi disc is I wrote one song called Take Another Bow, and then I covered or did a rendition of a musical piece from the movie Eraserhead that David Lynch wrote.
Yep.
And like the Pixies and Bauhaus and some various artists have like done their renditions of that. So it's my take on that. And then that one is on the 7-inch flexi, which was kind of a neat little, like, you know, fun thing to buy if you're a record collector.
Right. Yeah. So the flexi disc is available at forgeagainrecords.bandcamp.com. Where's the remix available?
Same. Also Forge Again Records.
Also there. Okay.
Yeah, and then we also kind of have it set up to where it's tagged with on Spotify with the other artists who collaborated with us. So yeah, that was just like, you know, a way of kind of reinventing the wheel for the way that you do things. I mean, we've probably practiced like maybe twice, I think maybe.
Okay.
So we really haven't been super active, but we are all personally friends. So we've been keeping up with each other and, you know, just making sure everybody has a support network. You know, Victor and I have gone to like a lot of protests, and obviously masked up with, you know, hand sanitizer and stuff like that. But yeah, like honestly, I think we're all just kind of like trying to figure out how to operate in this different kind of dynamic. So hopefully we have some more things that are coming up. Hopefully someday we can play shows. We've thought of doing a virtual performance, but you know, so far haven't. But I'd be interested in it.
Okay.
I've seen some really good performances. Our friends Ganser, they had a really cool live performance, I believe on Audio Tree, and that was during COVID time. So I thought they did a great job of having it look safe but also was really energetic, good set.
Yeah, this band Fax from Chicago, they've done one from Lincoln Hall as well. And then actually some pals of ours did, they just released a record and played a show at a DIY spot up in Minneapolis. Well, wait, actually, where are they from? What are they called? This name of this band is escaping my mind at the moment. I'll remember in a second. But there's been there's been a few bands that we're pals with that have been putting out, you know, digital performances online, and that's something that we put some thought into.
Okay.
But we wrote one song as a band. That's a new one. And then I've been working on some solo stuff and working on a few new ideas for when we get together. So it's been a slow start coming out of this. I think just like as people as well, it's been just for everybody, obviously. It's been a very strange time and challenging time. You know, like we all lost our jobs and figuring out how to stay afloat and find new work. But we're trying to keep it active and running.
No, I'm glad to hear that. So, thanks for chatting with us, guys. Salvation, you can find them at their new releases at forgeagainrecords.bandcamp.com. The new EP is Magic Mirror, and the Year of the Fly remixes are available there as well as your other releases. So
That's right.
thanks again, guys. All right.
Thank you so much for having us, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.